Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilten, Erik Pessolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries.
All right, here we go. We're starting from scratch again. It's 6-6, which is
unbelievable.
Basically 0-0.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we had a lot of fun talking with Katie about drinks last week.
You had a lot of fun. I hardly had any drinks to take.
Again, we got to get you out more when things start to open back up around here, and that's for sure. This week, however, we have our work cut out for us.
Yes, we do. It's a topic that a lot of people are going to like, and thanks to the rules that we've set in place, a lot of people are going to question what we do, but it is all for the specific reason of we're trying to put our best list together. Again, we throw in a rule every single week to make us kind of think. I sent this rule to you, and ever since we've been scratching our heads on how we're going to make this work.
Yeah, this one's going to be pure strategy. This is going to be tough with, I want this, or I have to take this, or I should take this. There's not going to be a whole lot of, this is my favorite, I'm taking it, number one. I don't know that that's going to be able to happen. Which is going to make this very, very interesting. There's not a whole lot of eligible attractions on the west side of Disneyland. And when I say not a whole lot of attractions, I mean, we have to pick 10 total, 5 between the two of us. And there's only, what do we count, 13, 14?
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
So there's going to be a few that are left off, but there's not a ton of choices. And with the rule, which we'll talk about after we introduce our guest judge here in a little bit, is going to make it real tight, and it's going to force each of our hands after every single pick.
It is, and that is the fun of this show, right? It's not just this is the best, then this one. No. There's some strategy to every draft in every single sport. Whether it's baseball, you need to get your shortstop. Hockey, you're looking for a forward. No. In Drafting the Magic, you're looking for the pieces to put a group together to suggest to somebody. That's what we're doing right here. And I think we've got an exciting guest that's joining us all the way from Arizona. Kelsie Koo joining us for Drafting the Magic as our guest judge today. She runs Disney Daily Fix. Kelsie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about Disney Daily Fix, why you started that, and why that makes you qualified to be a judge on this show.
I just started it because I'm just a Disney loving person through and through. And I think my family and friends were just like, we get it. We don't want to hear about it anymore. And so I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to make an entire page dedicated to me talking about how much I love Disney. And I started it actually like a while back, and I would just throw pictures up there every once in a while when I wanted to. And the whole meaning behind it was because I am from out of state from a park. I don't visit as often as I probably want to. I still visit quite a lot, but I have to kind of get creative on how I get my daily fix at home and get my Disney magic. And then when everything shut down and we went into lockdown, I was like, oh my goodness, now everyone is doing what I usually do. We're all in the same boat. And so I started posting a lot more, and it just started gaining a little bit of traction. And it's just been really fun. It's connected me with awesome people like you guys, where we can just sit and be Disney nerds together. I love it.
One of the things you mentioned in there was not being able to travel as much as you would like to, but we do understand that you may be headed out to the East Coast for the first time. I know you're excited about that. We're going to talk about the Disneyland resort today, so out on the West Coast, but how excited are you to finally be able to go out to the East Coast?
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I mean, we have never been to Disney World. Obviously, we're very close to Disneyland, so we're lucky enough to get to go there very often. But yeah, we're planning our first Disney World trip in March, so that's super exciting. I need all the tips, though. All the food tips. I'm going to ride every single ride, but all the food and all the drinks, I'm going to go for it.
See, all she's got to do is go back and listen to a couple of our episodes, and
I know.
she'll have all of those sets.
I actually already have, and I have a list going. I got a notepad and I'm writing them down, so don't worry about it.
If we can help just one person enjoy their vacation a little bit more, I think we've done our job here, Christian.
I think we have, but our job today is to completely blow our minds because we are talking West Side attractions at the Disneyland Park. And Erik, we were talking about it. I sent you the rule, and it completely messed up both of our lists. Tell everybody what our big rule is, besides the fact that we have to have experienced it. We've all been on all the cool stuff over in the West Side, but our big rule this week is a doozy.
Our big rule today, Kelsie, you ready for this one? This one's going to be fun.
I'm ready.
We can only pick once from each of the 4 West Side lands in Disneyland Park before we move on to the next. Meaning, one of us picks from Adventureland in our first pick. We can't touch it again until our last pick, basically. Yeah. So we're not going to have more than 2 in any individual land. And matter of fact, only one land will have 2 picks from each of us.
Yep.
The other one, and this isn't so much a rule as it is just more informational, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is not part of the west side of Disneyland for purposes of this show, because we did a whole show on Star Wars Galaxy's Edge experiences already. So we're sticking to just the classic 4 West Side lands.
I'm super excited for this. Kelsie, what do you think of that rule? It makes things very complicated, but it gives a little bit more strategy. What do you think of the rule?
Totally. I think it's totally fair. I do have to warn you guys that my favorite ride in Disneyland Resort is on this side of the park.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a deciding factor, but it is going to be a factor for sure. So
I'm about to get great movie righted by Dustin Geisler. This is great. Anyway,
throwback.
Go check out our 5th show, folks. It's great. Alrighty, well, Erik, I guess it's time to draft. This is my topic, so you get the first round. I am so disappointed in myself for letting you have that because it completely shapes the entire draft. But let's start it off. Our Drafting the Magic West Side attractions at Disneyland Park. First round begins now.
Now, most of these lands have probably 2 reputable attractions each that would be good for a selection.
Yeah.
And your 5th selection will just kind of be an add-in. Not that any attraction is better historically than another, but for purposes of if you've never been there and these are the 5 you have to do if you only have time to go to the West Side. I created a list for myself. I created a list that I thought Christian would pick from to be able to strategize and figure all this out. And the only logical conclusion that I could come to, you're shaking your head, yes, I don't think you know what I'm going to do here. The only logical conclusion that I could think of is taking the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at number 1. And that has to throw in it goes into our rules that in Frontierland, that's the go-to. I'm taking Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
That is, Erik knows from a previous episode, that is my favorite ride in Disneyland Park. And I wasn't expecting you to take it, but I was ready for you to take it. And I'm not happy about it. Kelsie, what do you think of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad?
Wow. I mean, I didn't think this was going to happen so fast, but that was my favorite ride. I mean, I just think it's just so fun. It's fun for everyone. Like, it's not too big of a thrill where it's scary for kids, but it's also enough of a thrill where it's fun for, like, I just feel like I'm laughing all the time on that. It's just so fun. My
favorite individual moment I've ever had on any individual attraction at the Disneyland Resort actually came on the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Did one of the 24-hour parties. That's right. I think I've talked about this before, and got to see the sunrise coming up over that last bunny hill at 5 in the morning. So that one holds a special spot. But mostly for strategy purposes, I had to take it at number 1, and I'm so glad that was her favorite attraction. Thank you, Kelsie, for that. Luck of the draw to me out of the gate.
I am disappointed in my life right now. I will say one of my favorite things on Big Thunder Mountain, at least over the last probably 5 years, is going over that crest and seeing Galaxy's Edge, right? Mm-hmm. Before we were ever allowed into it, it was cool to see it, and you were like, oh my gosh, and it literally was just more rocks, right? It just looked like more rocks. Obviously, the trees that have, more. It was literally just that, but that was the Disney freak in you going, oh my gosh, there's more to play with coming up.
Almost had somewhat of a similar effect to that photo that Josh D'Amaro posted on social media the other day with the Quinjet over his shoulder. I don't know if you saw that one, Kelsie, but Avengers Campus is on its way.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I digress.
I'm freaking out. I'm so excited.
I'm stoked for Avengers Campus. I can't wait.
Oh, me too. Me too. I can't wait for everything to reopen, but that's another conversation.
The park back.
That's another conversation for another day. All right. Well, here we go. My first pick is changing because I did not expect Erik to take Big Thunder round 1. And so I will take what I expected him to take in round 1, which is actually over in Adventureland. I'd be lying if I was going anywhere else with it. Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye is one of the greatest rides that Disney has ever created. It is the most awesome ride for a thrill because you have no idea what's going to happen. The car is doing unbelievable things. You're getting chased by snakes and there's rats and there's everything else. And the fun of Indiana Jones and the projection mapping they've put in there to change things every once in a while. I just love it. Indiana Jones, despite how it's usually not working every once in a while, has to be on my list. It's my number 1 pick.
I had it on my list as your number 1 pick. Even before I took Thunder, I knew you had to go there. And it's a smart move in my opinion, but I kind of figured it was going that way, so I'm glad the strategy holds. Kelsie, what do you think about Indy?
I mean, Indy's awesome. I mean, Harrison Ford, I can't get enough. Like, it's just great. I was going to say it's funny that you joked about it too. I was like, are we factoring in how many times it's down a day though? Because that could, but regardless, when it is running, it is so much fun. So I definitely, if I had to choose a number 2 behind Thunder Mountain, that would definitely be it. So
I hope we're not factoring that in because if we are, I've already lost this.
All right, we won't. We won't.
It is a very, very complicated attraction that takes several resets.
Absolutely.
I understand their pain.
But honestly though, it's one of the coolest rides, right? Because it puts you into the Indiana Jones movies that everyone has come to know and love, kind of like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge does for Star Wars, right? But Indiana Jones, you're on an adventure. It's always exciting. The soundtrack that they did for the ride builds up that anticipation and suspense. That dang boulder's rolling down. It's going to hit you. You got to duck under it. Spoiler alert for everyone. You don't actually get hit by a boulder. It's just one of the best rides, and I had to go with it. My number 1 pick.
I remember
it was like the first of its kind too, with bringing the movies into the attraction. So totally.
Yeah, I remember when it debuted, and we did our best to get over there as soon as we could to go ride it. Christian, I'm not even sure you were a year old yet. Yep, that's me. That's me revealing your age.
Yep,
right there. But nope. I love Indy. Good pick there, number 2, partner.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're moving on to round 2 now.
Let's do it.
All right. Let me go back and look at my list here. Okay, this is going to be another strategy pick for me, just because of the way things go around here, especially with this rule. Good rule, by the way. Thanks for.
It's messing with us.
I haven't had this much anxiety on a podcast, and I can't tell you how long.
I know you guys can't see them, but I'm just letting you know they look stressed. Like they're having fun, but they look stressed.
I don't know that I have the most notes I ever had for a single show was the parades because I hadn't seen very many of them and I needed to make sure I had my facts straight. This one I've got like different scenarios.
Yep.
What could you do? Then I have to adjust and then exactly. So with my number 2 pick, I'm going to go to the other side of the rivers of America and all the way back into the corner and a ride that will soon be rethemed, but I'm taking Splash Mountain at number 2 back in Critter Country, again for strategy purposes. I love it, and if I'm not correct, it's your favorite attraction, right, Christian?
It is not my favorite.
Oh, it's not your favorite, just one of your favorites.
It's my fiance's favorite attraction, I'll tell you that.
Thunder? Oh, no, I'm talking about Thunder.
Oh, Thunder. Yes, Thunder's my favorite.
Yeah, and Splash is hers. That's what I was getting at.
So I didn't
took
get either of those.
your 2 favorite attractions there at 1, 2. So Splash Mountain for me at number 2.
That is a good pick. It's the excitement of going to Splash Mountain. That was one of the coolest things we got to do with going Walt Disney World, knowing that its days are numbered. It's always been a great attraction. They are changing it for the reasons they're changing it. I'm excited for what's going to come of it, but easily one of the most exciting moments of any Disney visit is that moment you're at the top and you're about to drop. It's one of the best. Kelsie, what do you think of Splash?
All right, listen. It is iconic. It's in all of the commercials and advertisements for a reason. But I don't want to walk around with my socks wet all day. That's just not a good time.
Fair
but
point.
I'm also very privileged in the fact that I have ridden it many times. So I'm going to take it as like your first time top 5. So it is a good choice. But personally, I'm like, yeah, I could skip it. I have a probably a horror story from Splash Mountain where we rode it very early in the morning. It was a short wait and we were like, oh, we'll be dry by noon. We'll be good. And I don't know what happened. I think the water was like doubled that day and we were just getting annihilated by waves of water. And I think I'm just traumatized from that. And so now I'm like, we could skip it maybe. But I definitely am excited for the re-theme. And I think that'll make me want to ride it a little bit more often.
To your point, I would say from my perspective, if I walked around wet all day, and you've never been to Disneyland, I want you to walk around wet all day so you can experience it.
Right.
A real Machiavellian response from me, but that's just how I am.
It definitely is like if it's your first trip, it's a top 5. You have to. It's just iconic. But yeah.
It is iconic. It is one of those rides you got to go on. He got both mountains, and I'm not happy about it, but I understand. He got both mountains, and so now it is my choice. Now, he's taken a ride from Frontierland and Critter Country, and I have taken one from Adventureland. And I think it's only appropriate to round it out and make sure that I get this. Even though I know the other one's Eric's favorite ride, and it's his favorite thing in the world, I've still got to take Pirates of the Caribbean as my next choice. Pirates of the Caribbean was the last attraction that Walt Disney ever worked on, and boy, does it look amazing. I love Pirates. I love the theming. I love the additions of Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow, that they've put on the attraction. Pirates of the Caribbean is my number 2 pick, and I will tell you right now, my entire draft board is completely different all of a sudden.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about this pick is I almost kind of looked in your eyes and saw you think, why haven't you taken Haunted Mansion yet, Eric?
Because you knew I was going to take this.
Because I knew that Pirates and Haunted Mansion historically are interchangeable, right? If you had to do one or the other, you wouldn't be disappointed that you didn't do the other one.
Yeah.
You would eventually get around and do both. So I could wait a little minute. But let's go to Kelsie and get her thoughts on Pirates of the Caribbean.
I love Pirates. I'm a firm believer that I love when attractions inspire movies and movies inspire attractions. I love the feeling of when I'm watching Pirates and I'm just like, oh, I wish I was at Disneyland on Pirates, and vice versa. When I'm on Pirates, I'm like, oh, I'm in the movie. So I just love it.
It's one of the greatest attractions Disney's ever made. They've made it even better if you go to Disneyland Shanghai. It's like unbelievable what it is compared to what we have here at the Disneyland Resort. But the Disneyland Resort one will always be the original, and I love it. It is one of my favorite attractions, and the air conditioning there's pretty nice. So that's another plus for me.
That is a plus.
And thank goodness Walt didn't settle on a walk-through wax museum. My goodness. That would not be on this list if we if it ended up that way. It took him 9 years too.
Yeah.
To get that thing from start to finish.
Crazy.
Worth it.
All right, let's go to round 3 here. I can choose between Adventureland and New Orleans Square.
You can, yes.
Yeah. You've already taken from New Orleans Square.
I have
You
taken
can't
from-
touch it for a couple
which means
rounds.
I can't.
So there's no reason for me to go that way yet.
I mean, I also can't. I've also taken from Adventureland.
Right.
So there's no reason.
There's no
for me
reason to
take
go there
either.
either. So we already know that my next 2 picks are going to be Adventureland, New
Yes, you
Orleans, in one way or another. I'll go Adventureland for now.
All right.
We'll hold off. And I think it's fairly obvious here that I'm going to go Jungle Cruise. I think that one. Look, as someone who continuously tells dad jokes on a regular basis, this is one of my favorite times I've ever had on a boat. Disney Cruise notwithstanding, but anytime I get on Jungle Cruise, it's hey, what do these cast members bring to the table? You're going to have your regular jokes, right? But they do get some leeway in there. They can mess around a little bit and pick their own jokes. So I'm always curious to see, from a comedy standpoint, where they can go with it. And then, of course, a lot of those animatronics in there they're classic. I know most of them are surrounded by, are all animal based, but Trader Sam, oh, come on. Right there, wrapping around that final corner, was the inspiration behind one of my favorite places at the Disneyland Resort. We talked about that last week. But I'll take Jungle Cruise for my third pick.
Jungle Cruise, always a good time. And even if your skipper is not the funniest person, you still laugh at the jokes, right? You still laugh at the last time you heard the joke or whatever it might be. Kelsie, let's hear it. What do you think of Jungle Cruise?
I really like Jungle Cruise. I know there's a large group out there that does not, but I love the dad jokes. I love the same jokes over and over again. Like, I really do. And I just love watching the cast members have so much fun on that ride. And I think, to your point, even if you have a cast member that's maybe not delivering it the best, you still have those funny moments of watching the guests who the jokes are just going over their heads. And that is funny in itself. And so I really enjoy it.
I am so lost going into my next picks. I'm not even paying attention to your pick right now. I'm just paying attention to Jungle Cruise is a great pick. Great way for you to go through round 3. Now I'm in round 3 and the exact opposite, right? I have to choose from either Frontierland or Critter Country. I know which one I'm going to choose on each. The question is, what order do I want to put them in? And it doesn't matter because no matter what, I'm going to get the other pick.
Well, what I'm looking at here with, all my notes is there's only one other attraction in Critter Country. So there's really no reason for you to grab it now, right? You can wait one more. So you can pick from whatever.
Or do I leave the people
in suspense
of what I'm going to pick in Frontierland?
Well, as somebody who tries to market the show as best I can, the suspense thing, I'm definitely on board.
I think you're right. Then we're going suspense with my number 3 pick. I am going to Critter Country, and I am going to Winnie the Pooh in the 100-Acre Woods. That is, the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. That is one of the coolest slow rides that Disney has, and I think its biggest downfall is where it is because it is so far hidden in that corner. Ever since Galaxy's Edge opened, it's gotten a little bit more traffic that way, but I'm going to be honest, if I'm a parent and I've got a 4-year-old child who's not happy or cranky a little bit, the last thing I want to do is walk all the way to the corner of the park. But Winnie the Pooh is a great ride. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I've always liked the Winnie the Pooh characters. So Winnie the Pooh is my next pick as my number 3 on West Side attractions, which I would have never thought unless we threw this crazy rule in. But that is my number 3 pick.
You did do it to yourself.
I did.
But my favorite thing about Winnie the Pooh is the homage and the throwback to Country Bear Jamboree.
Yes.
I think, every time we go into the one room, it's like,
turn around,
look back up.
But I think there is something to be said in all the attractions that we're picking right now. Besides Pirates of the Caribbean and your soon-to-be New Orleans pick, even still, those can be pretty scary for a kid. Winnie the Pooh is pretty safe for kids. So I'm taking you got to think about everybody. It's a strategic thing. I think we got to think about everybody. Winnie the Pooh belongs on the list. So that's my go. What do you think of Winnie the Pooh?
I'm a sucker for Pooh Bear. He's great. I mean, I agree. You guys kind of said everything. The homage to the old attraction. They throw in the little hydraulic movement. Like, it's a little bit different of a dark ride. So love that aspect of it. Yeah, I think it's great. I love it. So, and I am going for a full experience here. So we'll see.
That heffalump scene still messes me up. That is a time, folks. Let me tell you.
Oh boy.
Or a good time. You don't know.
Oh, I just said it's a time. I didn't say it was a bad one or not, but oh boy.
All right, on to my number 4 pick. I've taken 3 out of the 4 lands so far. I have to go to New Orleans Square, and I get to take my favorite attraction of all time. Give me Haunted Mansion at number 4. I don't really need to give an explanation around this. Everybody knows it. We all know what we're getting. I'm taking Haunted Mansion. I'm excited I got my favorite ride at number 4.
Yeah, I kind of expected you to take Haunted Mansion because it was the only other option. But also, it is that historic Disney ride that has seen changes, but it is still one of the most highly rated, highly anticipated rides at the resort. I know it's your favorite, so I honestly thought about taking it, but I love Pirates more than Haunted Mansion, so I couldn't deny myself of that, even though it would be so great to take your favorite thing off the board. But Haunted Mansion is a good pick. Kelsie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Haunted Mansion is great. I always say the, pre-show in the elevator, I would be happy just waiting in line for that and then leaving. Like, I would be okay. So, yeah, it's great. I mean, I think your guys' New Orleans picks, the Pirates and Haunted Mansion, they're neck and neck. So I really don't think you guys are either in a bad spot.
Okay, there we go.
Look, I'm a realist. I know Haunted Mansion is my favorite attraction of all time, but I also am aware, like I said earlier, that those two are basically it's basically a wash, right? We're gonna get judged on the other four. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Well, and Haunted Mansion, I love that Haunted Mansion can change for the holidays, right? I mean, completely change, completely different inside and out, right? They put the pumpkins everywhere. They put the Christmas lists and the countdown to Xmas on the front, and then you go inside. Even the stretching room has a different show to it. It's not just the same thing. It's completely different. Granted, the stretching room still stretches, but they've changed the pictures. You walk through that hallway and the pictures are changing, but it's not the same pictures that you see on the regular ride, right? You've got Zero now zipping in and out of all the pictures. I think it from outside to in, they do such a good job on the layover of that. And I will give you credit. That goes to your attraction. So I mentioned it's great.
For my money, I would say it's the one attraction that's ever gotten a holiday layover or something that was like rethemed temporarily that made you feel like it was a completely different attraction and still didn't lose any of the charm from the original, which is very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best thing that it has going for it, aside from the revolutionary practices of the Pepper's Ghost effect and all of those other things, the stretching room. But yeah, for me, it's the versatility of that attraction too.
There you go. All right. So now, I have an interesting choice to make, but I actually have it written down. I know where I'm going with this, and I think that while one of the boat options is great, I think one is even better than that. And it's the Mark Twain Riverboat. I got to go Mark Twain as my next pick. I got to go to Frontierland, and that's where I'm going. Mark Twain, you get on that boat, and you are taken into a different world. Granted, the sailing ship Columbia does the exact same thing, right? It gives you a completely different effect. But the Mark Twain, I love how if you're wandering around the decks, they actually have a little TV that's playing Walt Disney's opening day speech to all who come to this happy place. Welcome. I love that aspect of it. It makes me feel like I'm in a different world. I know my dad actually got to drive the boat. I would die if I could do that. So that's still a bucket list item for me. And yeah, it's not going to be the number one thing you run to at opening park. Oh man, I got to get on the boat. But it's a pretty good option. So Mark Twain Riverboat is my number 4 pick.
I like the Mark Twain Riverboat. I've been on it in quite some time, but hey, you need to take a break for a second? Jump on the boat. Kelsie, what do you think about Mark Twain coming in here at number 4 for Christian?
I've never been on it.
Put it on the board.
No, I have been on it when it's docked and I've explored it, but I've never been on it while it's gone around. Now, I feel like every trip I'm like, okay, we're doing the Mark Twain, and then it just doesn't happen. But I could agree because I love that area. I love when the train goes around that area. So I can only imagine how great it is just to ride along that river.
Are you adding that to the scoreboard of things that haven't been experienced by a judge? Because that is heartbreaking, but it's fine. I know it's always a possibility. So here we are.
But I also feel like just it going around in the atmosphere with you walking around is part of the attraction. So I feel like I have done it and it is great. So I like that aspect of it.
All right. Way to stretch it there for him, Kelsie. I appreciate the effort. That's why you're here today. All right. Let's go to number 5.
Oh, boy.
My final pick, and I can go anywhere.
You can go anywhere.
And not a ton of options left, as we stated before. But for me, this one is both a guest and a cast favorite of all time for a couple reasons. I'm going back to Critter Country, and I'm taking the Davy Crockett Explorer Canoes as number 5. I don't know what it is about paying to do labor yourself, but for some reason, People love jumping on these things so they can paddle around the rivers of America. And that's where, the guest can see the entire river at a different angle and, get around it yourself. I've always enjoyed watching other people slack off and watching their family members yell at them. I don't know why. I think it's hilarious. People have dropped oars in the rivers before, which I think is also hilarious. From a cast member standpoint, and a lot of people probably know this, but every year, traditionally, there's an annual canoe race that they hold amongst the cast members, and they race for time around the river. And it's such an iconic thing for cast members because, everybody's into this thing, like way into it. They do it before the park opens, right? So you're getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to go do this. It may be Southern California, but it ain't warm at that time of the morning.
No.
And you're going on the water, and you're rowing around the canoe. You get soaking wet. You barely have enough time to shower and then get to your shift if you have an opening shift that day. But it's so iconic from both a guest and a cast standpoint that I'd be remiss if I didn't take it at number 5. So give me the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes at number 5.
That's a good pick. I don't understand why people love manual labor so much that they'd pay such a high price to do this. And let's be honest, it probably takes 15, 20 minutes to go around the rivers of America as a guest. As a cast member, we did it in 5 minutes.
A little quicker than that, yeah.
and there is a added stress and oh my gosh. But
competition.
It might be the weather. You're so cold, you just want to get it done with. So you're zipping around. But again, that aspect of going in and working as a team on a bunch of stuff, it's a lot of fun. Davy Crockett canoes. Kelsie, what do you think?
So I have done the canoes, but not in years.
I'll take it.
Years.
I'll take it.
And I would have to say that if I had to choose between the last two picks, I would rather do the Mark Twain. I'm not going to row. No, thank you.
Ooh.
All right, so she's not a huge fan of the water attractions. That's what we're finding out here.
That's what I'm getting out of this.
Right.
Too close to the water, no good.
I'm from Arizona. It's dry here, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
She did mention that she was from Arizona.
Should have taken that into account early.
Well, that was your final pick.
Yeah, that's it for me.
So that rounds it out for you, and it gives me one more opportunity. And honestly, I had you taking something else, but I also had you taking something else that was quite a bit of a workout. I had you taking Tarzan's Treehouse at some point, but you didn't do that. I'm not taking that. I'm not the person that gets up on stairs. All right. It's fun. It's a good time once every 10 years. I've got to go to some place that I love. I think it is such a obscure and weird attraction that it deserves a pick at the very entrance of Adventureland. Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room has to be on my list. It is one of my favorites. I still have the entire song memorized. I have the intros memorized of each bird. It is weird. I agree. So don't judge me. I'm already judging myself on that. But I love Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, Erik.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. I usually grab a Dole Whip and then go sit in there.
Oh, do you?
And watch the show, finish that up.
I grab a water.
Yeah, because you never had a Dole Whip. Yeah, that's true. No, I like it. I mean, the intervention, as we like to call it, of the birds, right? Singing birds and the animatronics in there was the first of its kind, really. And it still holds up today. It's entertaining for a few minutes. Not the first place I go to when I go over there, as I'm sure I will say, I do have some friends who do go there first and say, hey, we got to go do the Tiki Room.
Yeah.
Strategically, from a queue length point of view, not a smart move. You'll get around to it. It'll still be there.
It probably won't have that long of a wait, but
you're right. Yeah, exactly.
It is worth, and I love how on Tiki Room, even the outside, the pre-show is very involved. You've got all the little tiki gods doing their own thing. Kelsie, what do you think of Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room?
I'm really surprised it took so long for one of you guys to choose it. Really. Yeah, I love it. I just think it's a great place to take a break, get some air conditioning. I'm not sure that you can even choose it if you haven't had a Dole Whip, but that's okay.
Oh,
we'll skip that. I'm just kidding.
Fired.
But no, you definitely, I mean, it's right there. You get it while you're waiting for the show to open up, and you go in and you enjoy your Dole Whip with a show. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
I don't like the pineapple. I won't do it.
Okay. If it's preference, then okay. I thought it was just we didn't have it yet.
Oh no, it's not because I didn't accidentally stumble on it. I know it's there.
Well, you have to go to Tropical Hideaway then.
Yes.
Get the alternate
Yes.
versions. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
And I
like
love
those.
Tropical Hideaway. But that is my final pick. I think that Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, first off, it's the only ride at Disneyland or attraction at Disneyland. It's called Walt Disney's. I think that's something to be said. He had a love for it. He took a second mortgage out on his house or something like that for it, to pay for it. And I mean, everyone who he talked to it about probably thought he was crazy. And boy, you kind of feel crazy when you come out of that show, but it is that nostalgic thing. I love it. Gotta go with it. That's my number 5 pick.
And here's to hoping they don't touch it like they did in Florida for a short period of time before they reverted back to normal.
Yeah, Iago and Zazu. Well, you don't know, Kelsie, because you haven't been to Disney World.
That doesn't sound good, though.
There was a point where Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room in Florida was under new management, and it was Iago and Zazu, of course, from Aladdin and the Lion King. And Iago kind of took things into his own hands, and yeah, he's not there anymore. Those birds flew away. So, but yeah, I agree. It can never be touched here. It's the one of the best. So Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room rounds out my list, and that is our draft.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, we got to ask the judge the question that we always do. Kelsie, I know it was a limited selection, but is there anything that we left off of our list that you might include on yours?
I don't think so. I thought it was going to be the Tiki Room. I was really waiting. I was like, are they not going to choose the Tiki Room? But no, I think you guys hit all the great ones.
I had you taking Tiki Room too, so
Did you really?
I'm glad I got that one because she seems to have liked it. I know she doesn't like it as much as Big Thunder Mountain. I got that already. I'm hoping that's not the judgment, but let's get down to the review first. Erik, your list. Go ahead.
Let's take a look at our top 5 picks here for this episode of Drafting the Magic. For me, I went Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at number 1, Splash Mountain at number 2, Jungle Cruise at number 3, Haunted Mansion at number 4, the Davy Crockett Explorer Canoes at number 5, and for Christian, he took Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye at number 1, Pirates of the Caribbean at number 2, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh at number 3, the Mark Twain Riverboat at 4, and Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room at number 5. And those are far and away the longest names of everything we've selected so far this year. So I'm going to take a breath and toss it over to Kelsie for a final judgment.
Oh man, this is so hard. I feel like this whole time I'm been like, I love it. I love it. I love that ride. So it's like, it's so hard, but I am going to go overall experience. I think if it was, you could only do 5 and it's your first time at Disneyland, you know what? I'm not gonna go with my fave. I think Christian got it.
Hey, I'll take it.
I think his picks have a little bit more history to them, and I think if it's your first time at the park, you have to go with Walt's history. I really do.
I'll take the history card. That as long as I got to win, I don't care.
I'm just going to sit here with my folded arms for the remainder of this interview.
I know, and it really does pain me to not to send someone to Disneyland and not ride Thunder Mountain. That pains me, but. Yeah, I just think the Tiki Room and Indiana Jones and Pirates, it's so hard. It's so hard. But
well, what it tells you about our selection of judges coming in on the show is that they are fair and unbiased.
Oh, yeah.
From start to finish.
Yeah,
Won't
exactly.
even pick her own favorite ride.
Yeah. Well, she's just like Sarah. You pick Splash Mountain, and Sarah still chose my list. So.
Yeah. So what that tells me is I'm done picking your favorite rides. They don't work.
Oh my goodness. Well, Kelsie, thank you so much for joining us. Again, go follow her, Disney Daily Fix, on Instagram and all the other places. It is worth a look. She's got stuff going out every single day, like she said. And like you said, Kelsie, it is to just stay connected to Disney every single day.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun over there. Like you were talking about earlier the other day, we have lives. You guys can tell me where I should go for Disney World because I'm going to need all the tips. But it's just a fun place to chat and be Disney nerds together.
I absolutely love it. Kelsie, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Kelsie. Have fun in Disney World. Oh, congratulations, pal. You're first to 7.
I love it. And it means you don't get on this crazy winning streak like I've been on for the past couple trips besides the last 2. So I'm glad to stagger you just at the 2.
My new goal is to make sure that you're the first person ever to only have a 1-show win streak.
Oh, we've never had that either.
No, that's weird. Isn't that weird?
So weird. Oh my goodness. But this has been fun. There are a couple of things that we did not get to on here. The sailing ship Columbia is one of them. Kind of up there with Mark Twain is you go around the river, and just like the canoes, you go around the river, except you don't have to sweat the entire time you do it. But sailing ship Columbia, another good one that was not on the list.
Yeah, we left that one out. The other one was, for me, the Pirate's Lair at Tom Sawyer's Island.
Oh, yeah.
And that one's good for the kids. Let them run around, get all that energy out.
Yeah.
Tire them out before the fireworks.
I thought for sure that in the same way that you talked about taking Honey, I Shrunk the audience, the play set or whatever that's called.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I thought the same way you were going to take Tarzan because you love I love working and blah, 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 blah. You ended up going with canoes, which is basically the exact same thing. But Tarzan's treehouse is very cool, obviously completely re-themed from the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse. But I think they've done a good job at theming that one too.
Clearly, I'm more all about arm day than I am leg day.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently that's how that goes. No, but like I said, I think my big one with not taking Tarzan was just because of the stairs and because that's pretty much all it is. Not everybody can get up there. Whereas in the canoes, not everybody can do them, but probably a few more could do them than could Tarzan.
Well, and I will note, and I think it's important to note that canoes was your fifth pick, right? All of the picks that we had at the beginning were things you can do all day.
Yeah.
Canoes, technically Mark Twain and Columbia, although when Fantasmic wasn't running, they were doing it a little bit longer. And Tarzan Treehouse, and that's stuff that closes. I mean, if I'm telling somebody they got to go on an attraction, it's probably going to be the ones that are actually open all day because, I don't know, to me that means they're valuable enough that you got to go on them all day.
Right. But with the number of things we had to select, it was bound to happen that we were going to pick something that closes early, which brings up another good point, or interesting point, I should say. Should those be recommended to do first because they close early, whereas the other ones are open all day?
Could be. That's another fight for another show, I think.
My argument on that would probably be no, because the queues are going to be so much longer of the bigger quote-unquote e-ticket attractions as the day goes on. Yeah. So probably best to go do those first.
That's the thing, though. The west side of Disneyland is a lot of fun, right? There's so much to do. Of course, on the east side, you've got all the other things, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge isn't really technically over there, but, it's a whole beast. You got Toontown. There's so much fun stuff on the west side, though, and I thought this was a lot tougher than I thought it was originally when we threw in that extra rule, and it's just proof that extra rule, even if I'm the one who brings up with it, doesn't make my list any easier.
No. And that's why I said I think this was the toughest show we've had so far. So good on you for winning the toughest one we've had. And it's because of the rule. It wasn't because of what was available to select. It was because of the rule. And it became real quick stretch. It turned into a chess match real quick. It wasn't so much checkers anymore.
Yeah. And you look down, any person who's going to make just a straight up list, right? Indiana Jones, Jungle Cruise, Splash Mountain Pirates, Haunted Mansion. There's your 5.
Right.
And you've left out Big Thunder Mountain.
Right.
Right? Big Thunder Mountain, for me, would be at the top of that list, but there's so many... not easy enough. We got to do it something. Got to have a little bit more fun.
And like I said, Haunted Mansion's my favorite attraction of all time. I could take it number 1, but there was no need to, because even if you took it, I get Pirates. Exactly. Right? It didn't matter. And as I mentioned several times, those two are basically interchangeable. So I had to go somewhere else first, and it had to be the one land that had the one landmark attraction you have to go to. So that's why I had to take Thunder at number 1.
It was a good pick. I'm proud of you for that. But I'm also proud because I came out with the W, and I am happy about that. Make sure, everybody, to head over to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on all social media outlets. Look for Drafting the Magic, or at Drafting the Magic, or Drafting Magic. And make sure you go on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Subscribe, but then also rate and review. Let us know how you like it. This week has been a lot of fun. But next week, Erik, a new show. Any ideas what we're going to be doing?
I'm giving you nothing.
All right. Well, leave the people suspense. Find out on Monday morning, everybody, when we have our topic tease reveal. You'll get a little bit of a tease on it Saturday, though. Thank you so much for joining us for Drafting the Magic. And Erik, I'm coming for 2 in a row again next week.
Yeah, we'll see about that.